Okay. Who would like to give a recap?
Uh, we did some traveling. A lot of traveling.
You tried.
Good, yeah, sure.
A lot of failing. A lot of failing at traveling.
I didn't do any failing. I'd like that known. That's on the record. Taught you guys how to do a nice, the nice breath control whenever you're running down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Think we
The problem is, if they ever try to do it when you're not there, they're not really going to remember how. They need you there to continually guide them.
So, from what I remember, first of all, thank God we have a ranger in the party. Oh, that's one of the reasons why I'm all fucked up. I need to hardwire my... I'll be right back.
So it's hard for us to get lost.
Right.
Tis Andy. Started walking down the road. We got ambushed at some point by a bunch of elves. Very light-skinned snow elf things that were apparently tracking Salasri through a weird map that changes locally that Zaria's held on to, because that could be handy.
Yep.
And I know we ended in a null magic zone.
Right. After the battle with the elves on the frozen over pond, you wound up resting. That is when Daggerface had found the map, so he gave the map over to Zarius. You then continued on.
Making Lucirosi blind.
Yes, he threw Lucirosi's magical morning star and Lucirosi realized, although he sort of was aware of it before that it was possible, he found out that if the mace gets more than 10 feet away from him, it robs him of his sight. So he was temporarily blinded. It was after that, while you were marching, that Zarius decided to try his Lamaze breathing techniques on everyone. And they worked successfully enough that you made up some of the time you had previously lost. Following that, everybody at one point started to follow Lucirosi, who was lost communing with his god and not paying any attention to where he was actually going. So he wound up sort of leading you away from the path that you should have been on. Hellweir then had to use his ranger skills to lead you back to the road, but he wound up leading you back through some pretty deep snowdrifts, so you lost a little more time again. Kajika then spotted something on the horizon that he couldn't quite identify, so he tried to usher everyone into stealth. But as you tried to sneak across the landscape, this cloud of what turned out to be sturges saw you anyway. So now off-road, you wound up having to fight a flock of sturges, all of whom circled around Lucirosi because he was the closest one to them, sucking blood away from him. And then Kajika and T-Hole managed to blast him away using burning hands and the scatter gun.
Yes, none of them survived, to question.
Right. But you got a good meal of sturge out of it. It was then T-Hole decided he would take charge and lead the party and tried to use his intuition to figure out which way to go. And he had a bad feeling about the road he was on, but he figured he should just ignore that feeling. And he then led you into this anti-magic field that you were stuck in. As the night descended, it got to be very cold. And there was no reason to believe you were anywhere near the edge of this field, so you wound up stopping to camp. And that's where we ended it. So you can feel the temperature is dropping pretty fast. Hellweir and Zarius can both wind up making a fire pretty easily, non-magically. And there is sufficient wood in the area for you to at least have a fire going through the night. But who wants to set watch, and what do you want to try to do to keep warm since you have no tents?
Well, So, is dark vision affected by being in this null magic zone?
No, still works.
Okay. I just don't have the benefit of my nicer dark vision.
Right.
Okay.
Can I use survival or something? Maybe construct some kind of lean-to or some kind of shelter? Or do we already
Sure.
I don't know. This thing rolled out.
So you do manage to find at least, and there's not a lot of large logs or larger plants, at least nothing with like leaves, something that's very thick. But you still manage to construct a lean-to, and you find an area, because you're in the hills, an area of a sort of rock crevasse that you can get in. That when you angle the cart that the donkey's been dragging along, manages to block out most of the wind and cold, and it's all relatively free of snow, so you can shovel some of it out and get at least down to the bare earth in the bottom of it. So you do have a suitable spot where you can rest. It'll be a cold night even with the fire, but what do you want to do for watches?
So I know I have a level of exhaustion. By the way, Kurt, the exhaustion addition to the character sheet is just perfect. That's awesome. I can take first watch. Unless somebody else is really dying.
I'll take first watch with you.
Okay. That'll be helpful since my exhaustion is going to impair my ability to spot anything.
Who wants to take second watch?
Yeah, I can do that. I'll be solo for that one.
Okay. So after night has fallen, the temperature drops pretty fast and it begins to snow pretty heavily. You feel the winds have really picked up. It's not quite what you would call like blizzard conditions, but the light snow combined with the wind, it's pretty good that you're in this niche in the rock so that you can avoid most of the wind blasting into you directly. But it is making it a little bit more difficult to hear things than you might otherwise want. But Lusharosi and Kajika, give me a perception roll.
I will try. My computer is not being very responsive. I might actually have to restart. God damn it. I can't. If somebody wants to roll for me, I got a +5 bonus and I'm at disadvantage.
I'll roll.
Ooh, boy.
So yeah, unfortunately for disadvantage, a natural 20 and a 5.
Yes, unfortunate.
So as it progresses, as the night wears on, you don't really notice anything. I mean, you're aware you've got the donkey there, so the donkey is a little restless because of the cold, but otherwise it has also laid down and everyone sleeps when, let me move everybody over. Everybody roll initiative.
I've got no sight on anything.
You're sleeping.
Oh, sure. It's probably true.
Let me see.
What is it? Oh, okay.
There, you should be able to see.
Yeah, no, I can't.
That was my fault. I forgot to set the fire properly. Okay, so you hear a snarl, and on a rock outcropping near you, you see what looks to be an almost skeletal-looking, vaguely humanoid wolf-like creature that looks like this. Antlers are growing out of the top of its head as you see it is looking directly at you, and some sort of green fluid that must serve as its saliva is just dripping from its mouth, pouring down. And it actually has the worst initiative of any of you. I will assume that is because it is incredibly hungry. But you are all surprised. So all of your surprise round passes, and then it gets to go. Let me order this. Well, that is not a good name for it, but it's going to attack the donkey, I guess.
No!
Poor donkey.
Poor donkey.
No! Stop!
So it immediately comes down and claws and bites into the neck of the donkey, and Sally falls over. That's its turn. Kajika.
I would be looking at Zarius and I'm saying, you better revive that damn donkey.
There's no magic. I cannot.
Let's see. Can I move over? Can I get to here and shoot?
You can.
Okay. All right. I'm going to wake everybody up. I don't need to yell or nothing. I'm just going to shoot my pistol. That should wake everybody up.
Yeah.
Take
We're gonna
that.
roll.
That definitely hits. Everybody is now awake, although not necessarily aware of what's going on. You probably were awakened by the screams of the donkey.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you immediately hear the incredibly loud, thunderous bang. What were you using? A pistol. You were of the pistol as it goes off. Are you doing anything else?
I'm just going to yell, "We got company."
Hellware.
I'm mad. The donkey's dead. And with righteous fury, I cut this thing up.
That hits.
Yeah. And just double check whether I can check it. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna swing again.
Is your greatsword magical?
No.
So yeah, you see that it's not cutting as deeply as you would have expected.
Okay. I then go to punch it.
The punch is almost completely ineffective, as was the second greatsword strike.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm visibly mad. That's the end of my turn.
Zarius.
I like how he's angry that a donkey is killed, but he doesn't give a shit about elves. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can. Can I feel the connection to magic has returned, or is it still gone?
No, it still seems to be gone.
All right. I guess I'll acid breath him.
Okay.
It's a dex save there.
Save. He failed. So yeah, that burns into him pretty deeply, and it howls in a very wolf-like way, despite the antlers on its head.
I don't see Luciroshi in the order.
Yeah, that's because I haven't been able to roll initiative. But I mean, I think it's safe to assume that I'll just go last. That's fine. Maybe that'll give me enough time to get back into everything.
Technically, I just rolled for you. You did okay.
Really? Because I have disadvantage
Oh, I didn't roll twice.
and a -1 modifier.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
There
more
you
like
go.
There it is.
That's more like
That's the Lucirosi we know.
Well, at least now it's official.
So having been hit by the acid breath and burned, the creature reels back and it spits a glob of whatever it's been drooling out at. I don't have the macro set up for it. It spits it back at Zarius. But I think it missed.
Oh, that's an attack. Yeah, that's that does miss.
So it flies over your shoulder and splatters against the rock behind you, and the rock begins to sizzle and crack. It then, with that, it hoists the body of Sally up and over her shoulder, as almost like the donkey weighs nothing. But that's its turn. So it's Lucirosi's turn.
Does it seem like with the donkey, it's just satisfied and will, based on the way that you just hoisted it on its shoulder?
That would be your guess.
Okay. So I would probably just shout to the group, just let it go. It's gotten what it needs. There's no need for further bloodshed here. It's just trying to survive as we are. And the donkey's already dead.
Elway runs. He's like, this donkey will have a burial just like any other person.
Donkeys are more people than elves?
A lot more innocent than elves, at least.
So is Lucirosi doing anything, or just waiting to see?
I'm gonna hold my action, and if it continues to attack anyone, I'll try and interpose myself between whoever it tries to attack and
Okay.
yeah.
Kajika.
all right. Bust out the musket, and I'm going to shoot it.
Finally.
Where are you going with our donkey?
Oh,
Take them apples.
so you doing anything else?
If I can move over here.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Hell, where?
Yeah. Is it Not dead.
Oh, it's not dead.
Okay. I'm going to tackle it. So it drops the donkey and then try and grapple with it.
Okay, first you have to try to grapple it.
Yeah. I'm just going to do athletics. Oh, that's good.
That's not good. You lost.
I did too. I'm going to action point. I thought I was the top one. Yeah.
Okay, so it's grappled.
Yeah, and then I go to pin it. Okay, well, I'm grappled.
Well, it's just not pinned.
Yeah.
So you doing anything else?
Nah, that's me.
Zarius, you've now got Hellweir is standing in front of you, having grabbed one of the arms of this thing and trying to force its shoulder down, but unable to get the shoulder.
He's vanished.
Oh, Tony is gone. Perhaps I'm not the only one with computer problems tonight.
Perhaps. So I will get to Tony when he comes back. The monster is first going to try to break this grapple.
Make another athletics against him. Oh boy. Oh yeah.
Oof.
But it can't do it. It is going to use its second attack to also try to break the grapple, though.
Damn.
That time it does.
Yes.
It is, as it's running, going to try to leap up this rock wall, which is only about 8 feet high. But it's doing it carrying a donkey.
Yeah.
Oh, it tries to scramble up the wall, but doesn't quite manage it, so falls down. So it begins to run off this way. It gets to about there. Lucerosi.
I'm gonna move a bit closer to it, but still continue to hold my action for more of a defensive type thing.
Tony shows up and Mike freezes.
So it right before it tried to scramble up a wall, it was your turn. But you can go now. It grabbed the donkey, broke the grapple, and tried to scramble up the wall behind you or to the side of you. And then having fallen down, moved over to here.
Okay.
So you can take your turn now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really do much. If I hit it with a staff, it's not going to do much to it. So, and unfortunately, yeah, 5. Yeah, still can't see it very well. Oh, probably because of the fire. I don't know.
Yeah, your light source is the fire.
Oh yeah, because I don't have dark vision.
Right.
It's so weird. Yeah, I'm just gonna let it run. I don't care.
You're not going to chase the Wendigo into the darkness?
No, never would.
That's what you would do if this were a horror movie.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so it's still Katika's turn.
All right, move down here and shoot him with my pistol.
That's a hit.
Does it look like it's doing damage?
It is clearly doing damage to it. It's just that its flesh is so tough that it's not doing as much as you would have expected it.
Okay.
It's Hellweir's turn again.
I look back at Lucirosi and just say, "Coward," and I run over towards the Wendigo. And I pull out my hand axes, knowing that my two-hand sword didn't work very well. And I go hack and slash on him.
It's a hit.
I'm also going to use trip attack. So he has to make a DC, what is it? It's 14 strength save, or be tripped over. Okay, he passed. And then I'm going to hit him again. And then I'm going to do the same thing.
That time he failed.
Good.
So he falls over prone. Sally skitters in front of him. Are you doing anything else?
No, that's me.
And it's Darius' turn. Your other turn for this round.
Yeah, I mean, I literally very little I can do. I'll just say, do not chase it into the dark. That is certain death.
So the monster stands back up and is going to wheel around on Hellweir. And try to claw and bite him. The cold damage doesn't apply.
So, okay. So, and then I think they both hit. Yeah. Oh no, the 16 doesn't.
Right, the 16 doesn't. And so, and the other one is just the just 13 slashing damage.
Okay. Well, I'll use my Stone's Endurance just to soften that up a bit. Oh shit! They rolled a d12. Stone's Endurance. Sorry, this is very this. All right, so I take 6 of that.
It then, using its one object interaction, hoists Sally back up, and then moves this way, moves that far. Despite using half its movement to stand, it gets pretty far.
So I get opportunity attack as it runs.
Yep.
I miss.
That does not hit it. Lucirosi.
All right. Well, let's see if the computer will actually work with me because it's been freezing constantly still. All right. So Lucirosi is over here. The monster is over there. It's clearly just running. It's not trying to hurt anybody else, right?
At this point, that seems pretty clear.
Okay.
It is, but only because people are running up to it and attacking it.
Right. So, I'll just move about here just so that I can be in range if I need to be. But well, if I need to, I'll use a dash action just to put myself here. But I'm not really going to be chasing. I'm not trying to hurt it or anything. I just want to make sure that I'm in range in case anybody needs any help.
Okay. Kajika.
All right, I'll shoot it again with my pistol.
That hits. So you fire and the bullet flies out and seems to graze off of its arm, causing a minor flesh wound, but it's been pretty significantly wounded by your prior shots. Hellware.
Why can't I see? I have dark vision.
Do you have dark vision?
No, I don't. I'm a Goliath. You're right.
That would be why you can't see. You're running through the snow in the dark now.
Yep. I'd be like, where the hell is he? I'd just be like stumbling through, I guess. Can I like sort of like get his tracks and like follow him that way, like get his movement through that way? He's carrying a donkey.
Right. I will let you do a perception check since, you can hear him running.
Yeah, okay. And that's a failure.
Yeah, you're really not sure. You can hear him, but with this, the sound of the wind and the snow howling around you, you can't quite place exactly where he is. I mean, you know that there's like somebody in front of you and somebody to the side.
Well, do I know it's that? Do I know it's them, or do I know? Like, I would know. I can see them, right? Even if they're like 5 feet away from me.
I mean, in the pitch blackness, it would be hard to tell. I don't know how much light you have. You probably can't see Lucirosi, at least. I don't know if you can see Kajika.
Alright, hang on. Let's see. Can I like charge up a sun sphere, or will that sun sphere, or that won't work in here because I'm in the anti-magic field?
That won't work because of the anti-magic field.
Yeah. Okay. I'd pull out my bow, and I guess I just shoot randomly into the dark.
Okay, roll me a d8. I'm thinking of a number. Okay, roll then an attack at disadvantage. So you fire an arrow in a random direction. You can't tell if you hit. It doesn't sound like you hit anything, though.
Yeah, I just like.
Zarius, I assume you're still holding back.
Wait, stop, come back.
What's Daggerface doing?
I forgot about Daggerface. Daggerface is still asleep. He is a heavy sleeper. So a donkey screaming wasn't enough.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we can come out of rounds after that. He makes it another 80 feet behind a rock. So the wind continues to howl, and you wait and see if you hear anything else. You think maybe a minute or two later you hear a wolf-like howl in the distance, but it sounds like it's very far away at this point. And the rest of the night is silent. When the morning comes, there's a very thick blanket of snow around you, and you have to find your way back to the road. What do you want to do? Is there anything you want on the cart? Because without the donkey, you can't really. You could try pulling the cart, but it's going to slow you down significantly.
Just be shaking my head and looking at Lucia Racing like, you can carry the damn cart, you donkey.
You seem big enough. Why don't you carry it?
I just look visibly mad, but unresponsive.
I try a little cantrip. Does it work?
There is a brief fizzle as you try to cast a cantrip. Something happened, but it didn't initially take effect. A few minutes later, you try it again, and it does work. Although you have an ever-burning torch, so you could see it was also sort of flickering. And then sprung back to life.
Perfect. Yes, let's tie Hellweird to the cart. He's big enough and strong enough. He should be able to carry it.
We leave the cart here then. None of you, other than Kajika, offered to even help me.
Help you with what?
Shut up, ass face.
So was there anything on the cart you guys are taking?
I don't even remember what's on the cart.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Food, I think.
A lot of water. Oh no, we gave that away to the city.
We gave some of it away. You didn't have to give it all. There was a lot of food and water for the most part in the cart. So who would like to make a skill check to continue traveling?
Create food and water. I'll have my create food and water spell prepared, I guess. If we aren't going to be carrying this fucking cart.
We have lost Mike.
He's having a rough night.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be making a skill check. I'm too busy sulking.
Okay. All right. I'm going to use stealth again. See how this goes. Golly.
So, not really sure where this creature went. Maybe it's nocturnal, maybe it isn't. Kajika tries to, again, get people to stealthily make their way back to the road.
Oh, hey, look, it's where we started.
We did a big circle, didn't we?
Found our cart.
So I'm just saying, like, when you, as you begin to set off for the road, you decide, better to be stealthy than to, potentially run back into this thing again. When you see a big wolf-like hand comes around the corner of the rock, grabbing it, and it steps out.
Oh, it's back.
Oh. Well, there's a free meal here, apparently.
All right, well.
We back to initiative?
Let's do this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Share initiative.
Hey, another 7.
Oh. Yeah, I had a level of exhaustion. Did that go away?
No, it has not gone away.
Even after the rest?
No, it requires, when I do the traveling rules, it requires a better rest than you can get sleeping in the snow on the side of the road.
Well, I guess I should roll again. Oh, yay! There's my real initiative then. Oh, it updated. Cool.
1.
Strangely, Lucia Rosie did really well.
Even with his disadvantage?
Even with his disadvantage, 22 and 19. That can't. Seems he is a
22.
-1.
Yeah.
I must have done the wrong character sheet. So it would have been a 19 and actually I see. I rolled. I only rolled the one time.
You hit. Yeah.
I thought I hit it twice.
No, you got 2 initiative rolls on there.
Yeah,
I see.
yeah. 18 and 19.
Yeah, okay. So we
One
should
was
have
a nat
8.
20. Yeah, yeah.
What the hell? Daggerface will join in this time.
Okay, good. He'll get carried off. We'll have to fucking chase him.
So, Hellweir, it's your turn.
Alright. Packet slash.
That's a miss.
Second
That
to
one
hit.
is a hit. So now that magic has returned, there's something new. As you get close to it, it wouldn't necessarily have prevented your attack anyway, but give me a Constitution saving throw.
Oh boy.
Do you want to use an action point?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you feel there is a crippling sense of cold and hunger that you feel as you step forward towards this creature. It almost stops you in your tracks as you go, but you manage to push through it. And you think you'll be okay standing in the presence of this thing. But it might have stopped you dead. So then you make your attacks and you manage to dig into its existing wounds.
That's a good thing. Existing wounds.
That's another one.
All right, we'll come back to Lucirosi if Mike gets here. Since you're right in front of it,
Yeah.
it is going to attack you.
Ouch. And ouch.
This time the cold damage does apply, so it's 14 from the first attack. And 31 from the second attack.
Okay.
But that's all it does this round. Kajika.
All right. I'm going to make an assumption that I would have reloaded my musket.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And let's see. Quit moving. Damn it. I wonder if I can get all the way around him. 8.
You could.
What?
Oh, I was thinking you would go through Hellweir.
No, I was going to go around behind him. I think that's just enough. If I can ever move my token, I can't seem to operate it here.
So we should be able to see now, right?
Yeah, I can set that.
Yeah, I think that was just enough squares. I should be able to see him. And I'm going to shoot him, hopefully. 27. Yeah, that's it.
So you fire your musket. Again, it digs in, but his hide apparently is tough enough to deflect some of the damage.
Son of a bitch. Nah, that's all I can do because I maxed out my movement. Okay.
So Daggerface will move there. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, he can just barely make it there on his stubby little legs. And he manages to hit twice. His axe is glowing blue once again. And on the second hit, it does additional damage. So he puts 2 gashes into the side of it. The creature appears to be bleeding pretty heavily at this point. At this turn, Zarius.
Alrighty then, I'll make a little ringing in his ears, I guess. Toll the dead.
Toll the dead.
So it turns out he has advantage on this save.
That sucker.
Bitch.
Alrighty, well then I guess he saved. Let's see here. I guess bonus action. I'll spiritual weapon him. I'll just stick it right here. I'll swing that at him. I don't know if a 15 hits, but
15 doesn't seem to hurt him.
alrighty then. Totally ineffectual. Got it.
Skip Lucerosi again. We go after. He has to go after Hellweir. He hates Hellweir at this point.
Don't I get a turn before the thing?
Didn't you get to go?
No, you skipped over him.
Okay, sorry. You can go then.
Yeah, let's cut him up before I die. Oh, fuck me.
So he hit you once with his claw and did 25 points of damage.
Alright, I use second wind real quick as a bonus action in my turn.
Yep,
And how much damage did you do?
25.
Oh, I'm down.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Don't worry about
So
it.
the creature brings a claw down and then turns to loom over Daggerface. But it's Kashika's turn.
All right, pistol attack here. So I put down the musket. Take that, bastard. And then I'm going to move in. Stop doing that. Okay. So. Worse. This thing is getting all weird. I can't move my token.
Where are you trying to move it to?
Next to him, but it's the
Like there?
track. It's the trackpad, and it's not being cooperative.
Oh,
And
you can use the arrow keys too once you've selected your token.
Okay. I'm gonna burn a key point and do flurry of blows. So it's 2 unarmed strikes, right?
Yes.
Okay, that wasn't good, and that sucked too.
Well, I hate to have Daggerface take him down, but he might. Miss.
Good. I hope he does.
Sarius.
I'll step forward here and cast a 3rd level, I guess, Cure Wounds. And because he's at 0 hit points, he gets max. So that'll be... let's see.
It's 3d8 plus your wisdom modifier. 24 plus your wisdom modifier.
Yeah. Plus, which is 4, so...
28.
28 hit points to you.
Yeah.
And then I'll have the spirit weapon attack it again.
Yep.
Damn it. The fuck? Nobody can get over 15.
Which is unfortunate because he has a 16 AC. Hellweir, you're prone, laying face down in the snow, and you come to as Zarius casts this cure spell on you.
I just snort the snow out of my nose. I just I give you a begrudging nod, and it's like, "Duff." I turn around and hack and slash at this thing.
So you're going to stand up?
Yeah. And fuck me. I'm going to use Action Surge. I'm going to go again. You just fucking die? Gosh, thank you. Is it dead?
It's
I'm
not
going to
dead
punch
yet.
it. I'm going to punch it.
Damn
Fuck.
it.
Hellier, although not a barbarian, flies into a rage. Manages to bash it twice with his hand axes. Still raging, tries to punch it.
They're magical, mind you. Does that mean anything?
It means it bypasses his damage resistance.
He dead.
He is not dead not from the missed punch. Lucirosi still frozen in the back. For some reason, he is still trying to stealth.
Guys, I don't think it's working.
Yeah, he's going to go after Hellweir again. If nothing else, it's funny to watch the look on his face. Oh, I don't think.
Yeah, they're both 16. Oh no, I'm 17. You're right.
17. I think he missed. So this time, the creature tries to lash out at Lucirosi, but can't manage to break through his armor. Kajika.
Pistol, I guess, again.
This one's okay. Well, you hit. It was a disadvantage, but you hit.
Okay.
What is your passive insight? Let me see. Your passive insight's high enough. You can tell he is right on the verge of death.
All right. Let me burn another key point, and I'll do 2 unarmed strikes. Suck, man.
Oh yeah, we don't do flank. That's right.
No.
Man.
My fucking ass face is gonna get the killing blow. Damn it!
Damn
it!
Kills him.
Good.
As you punch him, the creature turns around to dodge out of the way of your punches, and Daggerface uses the opportunity to bury his axe right in the creature's back. And it slumps to the ground. Its loincloth blowing in the still pretty strong winds.
So, does it have some kind of acid or something for blood or something like that?
It seems to have acid for saliva.
Okay. Is there any way to harvest that?
Do you have something that could hold acid without burning? Without dissolving in the acid?
I'm going to ask Zarius if he has anything that would hold acid.
I doubt his acid is compatible with mine.
Would be you could always try drinking it. See what happens.
No.
Well, I assume Zarius would try. Not you.
But no, I do not have any glass vials.
I mean, I would tell you, you could be pretty sure that if you put it into like the water skins on the cart, they would burn through a water skin. But if you had like a glass bottle,
yeah.
Damn. I wonder if Lucirosi has one. Go through his pockets while he's frozen.
No, I don't think he has any glass bottles on him. Nor T-hole.
Daggerface.
T-hole yawns and stretches. Oh, good morning, everyone.
Okay. Well, if nobody has any, then I won't bother since I can't carry it.
So you set off back for the road. You travel through most of the day, and camping that night. Well, what?
Dustin's here. And you just said you wake up.
I did.
Wake up.
Yeah, they just fought a monster, but T-Hole slept through the whole ordeal. They fought the same monster twice. It killed your donkey. But T-Hole slept through the whole ordeal, and I just said, T-Hole stretches.
Man, I slept great. I timed.
T-Hole is much
that.
better rested than the rest of you.
Mm. You guys look like you just fought a beast.
You see, there is a creature that is laying in front of them. The creature, it appears to be, it's almost werewolf-like. It looks almost a little bit, though, like it's maybe like a zombified werewolf. And anybody who wanted to, I guess, could make a Arcana check.
Oh, it's got those horns too, right?
Yes, it has
antlers. We're gonna definitely cut those off.
Yeah, maybe it's got fangs. Yeah, I might snag a 2 from it too. If it's big enough to like hold in my hand.
So yeah, T-Hole, you would know that this is a Wendigo. And there are a fair number of them that live in the Auric Mountains. The legend of them is that people who are very greedy or die of starvation, depending on the legend, wind up sometimes turning into Wendigo if they were sufficiently hateful in life. And there is the theory, the Auric Mountains being a huge center for gold mining and silver mining, there is the theory that is in part that miners who go into the hills and die there come back as these creatures. However, they also frequently get forced down into the hills around the mountains, particularly when in the winter when it gets cold and things for them to eat get scarce there.
So T-Hole would relay that information, probably very eloquently.
And Hellweir, make me a survival check.
And without pants.
Is he not wearing pants?
It's awfully cold.
The Wendigo seems to be more or less inured to the cold. It's wearing rags. It's not completely naked. Do you want to use an action point?
I'm out of action points.
Okay, then let's see. So as you reach into its mouth to get the tooth, you spread its jaws open so you can pry one out, and you are sprayed for 14 points of acid damage.
And he goes down again.
Shouldn't quite be down.
No, not quite.
Luckily, your healing was maximized.
Can I harvest those antlers?
Yeah, you can harvest the antlers, no problem.
Okay.
So for the next several days, you're able to make not great time because of all the additional snow that's fallen over the course of the night, but the wind does die down and it warms up a bit the following morning. Who wants to make the next? Actually, I would say you traveled for about 3 more days then. Who wants to make the next travel check?
Not.
Has everybody made one today?
I made one. We failed. We fought that guy again. So.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. I'm going to use animal handling. For fuck's sake, kill me. Literally, kill me again. Do it.
How do you fail to use animal handling? What was your plan for using animal handling?
So my plan was to find critters and creatures and ask them which way to go, and obviously I asked something dodgy, and it led me somewhere weird.
Right. So you come upon a regular deer, and you proceed to ask it where to go, and it gives you reasonably good directions. There's a little back and forth trying to get it to understand what it is you're asking. And it provides you with directions. You follow the path, and after a while, you realize that it has led you to what is probably really great a source of berries. And if you were a deer, boy, this is really a place you would want to go. So you wind up essentially wasting about 12 hours of travel time to get to this valley full of winter berries. The next couple, you then travel a few more days. You're now officially in the mountains, but still probably 2 or 3 days out from Montverre. Who wants to make the next check?
T-Hole will make it. After he's Hellweir, I thought you of all of us would know where to go. The berries was, while delicious and great for tea, I don't think these were worth 12 hours of traveling. I'm going to make a religion check.
So how do you want religion to help you?
So, in the religion that I remember that I started about myself, there was a tale about T-Hole the Great who paved the road to Montverre. And I left, there are stories in this tale about kind of food caches on the side or other caches of treasure that were left and hidden. So knowing my own history, I would try to see if I could find one of those caches.
Okay, so you proceed down the road again, occasionally leaving the road to get to these caches that you remember being there. What you find is most of the caches of treasure appear to be gone, but almost all of the food caches that were supposed to be left along the way have turned into really pretty swanky campsites that enable you to get short rests very easily. And make the trip a lot more comfortable than it would have otherwise been, as there are little cabins and you can rest in warmth. There are little stoves, ample cut wood for fires, things like that. So the next 2 days worth of travel go by relatively quickly, and compared to the rest of the journey, warmly and comfortably. Then on the second day of travel, you see ahead of you the walls of a town that is built into a pass between two tall mountains. The city itself appears to be sort of semicircular, and you can see there's a series of concentric walls, one inside the other. Each set of walls inside appears to be a bit higher as this thing is built up the side of one of the mountains overlooking this pass. This is the city of Montverre, and you can see all around there are not very fancy, but still well-built stone houses, probably of like local peasants that serve some role within the city itself. You know that the city has a population of about 250,000 people, so it's quite large, particularly for something that's built directly into a mountain. You also know that because you've been here before, there are at least 6 gates to it. So normally when you go into the city, the only all the gates essentially lead into the outer ring. The outer ring is considered to be a traveler's district. To get from the traveler's district to any of the inner districts, you really need to have some official pass, some reason to get inside the city. Getting into the traveler's district itself, you could do more or less freely.
So the last couple of days of travel, did we get an actual long rest? Yeah.
Yeah, you would have gotten a long rest.
Beautiful.
Get your HP back.
I would say, in fact, because of T-holes, the rest stops built around T-holes' former secret caches. If there were food there, it would be 1,000 years old. So it was probably for the best that they built other sites around it. But I'll say you could have recovered any levels of exhaustion that you have in those cabins.
Nice.
So as you approach the city, at one point you're coming across a field. Behind an outcropping of rock, you hear, it's probably 300-400 feet ahead of you, the sound of gunfire.
All right, got my attention.
A moment later, you see there is an enormous white bear, probably 15 to 18 feet long, that is bleeding from several gunshot wounds that bounce across the road and is really in a full gallop away from whoever just shot it. It appears to have projections coming out of the center of its back that look somewhat like wings, although they appear as though they might be made of ice. And you hear another gunshot as you see a figure emerge from behind the rock, and this giant bear-like figure topples over. As you get closer, the person who shot the bear now has several people who are just sort of flittering about him. Kajika, in particular, when you get close to him, you realize that this person is a hobgoblin, as are all of the people around him who appear to more or less be servants to him.
Mm-hmm.
When you see him up close, if you had to sort of come up with a description for non-hobgoblin of what a noble hobgoblin would look like, this would be it. His red skin has sallowed into a healthy orange. He's probably about 45 years old. His eyes are incredibly handsome, and he has a very proud bearing to him. He's clearly probably of the central leadership of the Hobgoblin Nation. And then just when you realize it's hard to even take your eyes off of him, he flashes you a comfortable, winning smile.
Hmm.
Was this a friend of yours?
That's a good question.
Hi, Kajika's friend. I'm T-Hole, your emperor.
And this person wanders over and says, "Well, hello.
And who might you be?
I am a Eustace Chapoise. I'm the ambassador from the Hobgoblin Nation, and I can tell just by looking at you who you are.
Of course.
You're kind of minor celebrities here." He's only looking, however, at Kajika. "What I didn't realize, and what really is striking me as unusual now, is that you were a grammaton monk. That was not reported to me. And why are you traveling with this old man group?"
I take offense to that. I may be old, but I'm viral.
But you're clearly just traveling with a bunch of old men, right? You understand that? You got a giant old man, you got a old dragon man, you got a little old man, and you got a paladin of their old man god, and then a grammaton monk from the Hobgoblin Nation.
They may be old, but they're wise in their years.
Absolutely. Kajika, are you going to take that from this whippersnapper? I can't believe he's talking to us like that.
What are you doing on my lawn?
Yeah. He starts talking in Goblin.
Hey, I understand that.
He's hoping that only Kajika understands that. He's like, so, I guess I already know why you're here, but now that I see you and realize who you are, you have some sort of message for me.
I don't recall a message for you.
Well, all right. I just figured if they sent a Grammaton monk, probably there's some instructions. I mean, if you want to, pass a message on to me later, I assume it'd be coded.
Well, I'll know where to find you.
Huh. So you're saying you really don't have a message for me?
Not that I can think of right now.
Well, so you're here then, you're going to try to infiltrate some sort of magical house? That door that they brought in, that section of wall that they dragged into the city?
You're talking about... What are you talking about? Magical doors.
There's no need to really hide it. It's all anyone could talk about in the past week or so. How did you get out of your monkly duties?
Well, you could say I took a leave of absence for a while. I'm on a sabbatical, you would say.
Well, I mean, it might be for the best, as well. I don't know what's inside that manor of that wizard, but if you can get in there, at least I don't expect you, to deliver everything that you find, given that you're with 4 other people, but you could probably at least give us the lowdown on what it is we're up against, if it's anything that might be used in the war.
Sure, you'll be the first one I tell.
Well, you're going to have to figure out where they're keeping it, and that itself might be valuable information to me. Assuming that is, are you still loyal to Satan Mamadati?
As soon as he says that, I bow in reverence.
That's a good man. That's what I like to see. You would know, just from the look of him, he is probably one of essentially like the high priest of the nation. There are, it's not like it's a small set. But it's a relatively small percentage of the population are as highborn as this. So he's probably one of the few who's been in direct communion with Satan Mamadati, because that is one of the common rituals for someone of his class.
Okay.
Well, in order to find it, I figure you're going to need to get some sort of in to the court. I don't know if you're going to infiltrate it by stealth or simply go in and seek an audience and figure out from the people there where it might be. Because I got to tell you, they're keeping that closely guarded state secret.
Is he still talking Goblin?
Yes.
All right. I don't want to talk then.
Well, we tried to get an audience with the court back in Watchtower and found out there was some sort of devil. So I don't trust these soft skins as far as I can throw them.
Well, we all know about that too. That's one of the reasons you're famous. Defeating that devil probably was for the best. I don't wish to see devils walking the land, although I heard it was a demon.
They're all about the same in my book.
How do you get into that magical door? I had heard people tried, but the reports were that nobody could open it. But that somehow you might have like a secret to opening the door and getting into it.
I don't know. Maybe one of these fellas traveling with me knows that answer.
Well, you're likely to be, I would say, recognized when you get inside. Your group is at least a little bit extraordinary. And with so many nobles so bored all the time in this place, there'll probably be a bit of a competition to get to know you better and for people to be seen in your presence. Although, unless you infiltrate, you're going to have to go to court. And you should know you're not going to be able to take weapons into court. You strike me as the sort of person who have a problem with that.
And I just show him my fist. I said, well, I got backups if I need them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. And the proper amount of respect for your training, too, because you are never unarmed. Not really. The soft skins don't know what they're up against if they think they're going to bring you in and treat you like you're completely unarmed. Well, I am sure that I am going to see you again. If you need to see me, you can simply ask for the Hobgoblin delegation. They'll bring you to me for sure, directly.
So I looked to the, whatever this bear thing he killed. It's like, will you be feasting on this tonight?
We'll be feasting on this for the whole rest of the winter. We'll probably get a good 1,000 pounds of meat out of this thing.
I might have to stop by for a bit.
That might be useful. It's always good to have celebrities around. Raises your status here in the court. Helps you get audiences when you need them. But you take care of yourself, because the war's coming soon. And you don't want to be here in the middle of all of these soft skins when that happens.
Not a problem. And I bow, show him reverence for his position and status.
He nods back, then starts yelling at his attendants, who've more or less been standing there watching. Why is it that you are not helping to carve up this thing? What do you expect to carry 2,500 pounds of bear back in, you morons? Get to work. They immediately go into a flurry of motion as they start to skin this animal.
I would look at the hobgoblin and just like congratulate him and call him like a bear slayer in giant. Like hunter.
What does bear slayer sound like in giant?
Door hunter.
He nods, but he doesn't seem as if he understands what you said. He sort of glances over at Kajika to see how Kajika reacts to it, but when he doesn't react like it's an insult, the ambassador's just happy to assume it's not an insult.
No.
So you continue on and you make it to the main gates of the city. There are sets of guards flanking both sides of a very wide open gate. There's a line of people that are passing through. The guards aren't necessarily searching them, but they are looking them up and down. Occasionally, at random, maybe they stop people, but you don't see them doing that here at this point. So you make your way through and into the Travelers District. What do you want to do?
I'm actually going to cast Sending to Loki to let her know we are here and to which gate we entered in from. Did we expect to meet her here? I forget.
No, she didn't expect to be here. She told you to go and meet with Dom Petronio, who is the lord over Daggerface. as he would be here.
Okay. Did she give us an indication as to where?
No, but he would be in one of the inner rings, certainly, and Daggerface would know.
Okay. Well, then I won't have to do that then. That's just a failed memory on my part.
Okay.
I would let everybody know that we're expected, and we're going to be like some kind of celebrities now. So be aware of that.
Yes, I caught that conversation. Hopefully this will make it easier to enter into the inner parts of the city.
Yes, but I also caught this conversation. But that means we'll have trouble, as in people will be having their eye on us, for friends and for enemies. Daggerface, what kind of influence do you have at this court?
I know my lord and not really anyone else in the court.
So some help, but not much.
This is
Not really. He's not really from here and not well placed in the court because he backed the new king's rival when they were deciding who would become the king. So he lost standing as a result. But he knows everyone.
Is your lord considered a traitor for backing the other king?
No, they were all absolved of guilt, except for the actual rival claimants. They were all executed. But the various supporters they had were all forgiven, and he swore the oath to the new king that was required. But it has still damaged his position at the court. We can get word to him if we hire a page, as the page can go into the noble district, into the palace district. But otherwise, I don't know how to get word to him.
What prevents us from going to the noble district?
Oh, unless we have papers that allow us to pass through, they won't let us out of the travelers district, except to go outside again.
That's where you're wrong. I have my crown. That's all the pass we need.
I bow to your superior paperwork, then.
Do not believe your crown has the weight it used to.
Well, it's worth trying.
So you're going to make your way to the inner gate?
Yeah.
So winding your way around, it seems as if there could be more than one, but from the layout that you've seen, it appears as though there's only one obvious gate to get from the Travelers District at the outer edge of the city into the inner parts of the city. When you get there, though, there is, again, another bit of a line, not nearly as long as to get into this portion of the city. But you are stopped by several guards. There is the gate is currently closed behind the guards. And one of the guards comes up to you and says, "Hold papers."
Just looked at T-Hole.
I seem to have left my papers in my other pair of pants, but you may recognize me as the Emperor T-Hole.
The emperor of which nation?
Of the Empire? Which empire do you think?
Well, has there been a change of the last I heard, the emperor of the empire was Aurelius the Seventh.
Yes, well, he... It's a long story, but I'm the original emperor, and my right was taken, but I'm coming back, and I am here to take back what is mine. So if you would please let us through and not trouble us any longer. We have business in the court.
If you don't have the proper paperwork, you're going to need to have someone vouch for you to get through the gate. Emperor or not, this is not part of the empire.
I can't believe the disrespect of this. Daggerface.
Yes.
Who did you say we could get to go talk to Don Petronio?
We would hire a page. One of the official pages would have the ability to get through the gate and deliver a message.
You, guard, do you want to be a page?
I'm a guard, sir. If you would like to hire a page, you can find them throughout the Traveler's District.
Can you point us to a page?
I would go back to the central market. Beyond any of the gates, you'll find a marketplace, usually within 200 feet or so. You'll find there are various pages or companies that send pages out in each of them.
Okay, I suppose we have to go that way then. It seems this gentleman here is okay with being an enemy of the Empire.
What kind of paperwork do they want?
Are you asking someone, or are you just general knowledge?
Well, what kind of paperwork are you looking for, friend?
Ordinarily, it would be something with an official seal from someone who has the authority to give you passage through the gate. Some nobleman who we would recognize, the king, the Lord Protector, the High Chancellor.
So this isn't a free town that we can enter?
You're free to stay in the Traveler's District as long as you like. If you had a certificate of citizenship, we would let you at least through this gate, though you would need more to get through the inner gates.
Well, let's see if we can hire that page.
And as you walk away, the guard turns around to step back into his position, and you see he sort of mimics, "Oh, I'm the Emperor," to his friends, and they all laugh.
T-Hole sees that, and his eyes narrow a bit.
T-Hole will remember that. So making your way back, you find, actually way before you get to the markets, you do see a sign for a messenger and page service.
To me.
And going inside, you see there's a young girl behind the desk, probably 18 or 19 years old. Can I help you, sirs?
I expected to find a page here, but I didn't know I'd find a beauty.
You're a sweet man.
Emperor.
The Emperor?
Yes, Emperor T-Hole, at your service.
That's an unusual name. Your parents must have been very eccentric.
That they were.
So, who would you like to send a message to?
Don Petronio.
And she writes it down. What should the message say?
Daggerface, what would you want to send to your master?
Tell him that Daggerface has arrived and would like to have an audience with him, and that he can respond to us at the Sword and Anvil Inn.
He's
Now,
my dagger face.
Yeah, he's not going to know who I am, really.
should he know? Should we say Daggerface, aka same as Holbein?
Well, that would be a lie. I don't want to lie to him. He is technically my lord.
I just turned to the lady, scratch out Daggerface, and put down Samus Holbein.
Do you whisper that, or you just say it?
I just say it.
But that would be a lie. We can't just tell him Samus Holbein survived. Get his hopes up.
He does not know that he was killed.
Right, but even then, like, he'll expect to see Samus Holbein, and all he'll see is us.
Yeah, well, Arseface wasn't employed by his lordship, so
Right,
you're
but
free.
Samus Holbein is dead. So
I just looked to the lady. Could we speed this up?
she's like sort of looking around amongst everyone, and she crosses out Daggerface and writes down Samus Holbein. Okay, that'll be 1 silver.
I looked at T-Hole.
D-Hole is gonna hand her a silver.
So she takes it.
Yeah.
She takes it and says, "Well, the message should be out within the hour. You know, how fast he responds will sort of be up to him. He'll have his own pages in his own house. Presumably, they'll be ready and able to bring back a message quickly. But when he sends them, they'll go to the Sword and Anvil."
Do we have? I would assume I have a silver. I'm just going to drop another one. Be like, if you could speed things up, we would appreciate it.
She takes it. Thank you. We'll get this message out right away. And she disappears into the back for a minute.
Not bad.
So Samus Holbein leads you to the Sword and Anvil, which is essentially, it's right around the corner from this place.
So is the Sword and Anvil a tavern?
It's an inn,
An inn.
but it serves drinks and food as well.
And this is in the Travelers District.
And as you approach, an elven woman comes up to the group, and she goes to, of course, she goes right up to Hellweir and says, "Pardon me, sir, can I speak with you for a moment?"
Fuck off, swine.
I really need to talk to you, though. If you could just spare a couple of minutes for me.
I look around and I'm like, who put you up to this?
No one did so, but I think I've been walking behind you for a while now, and I think I know who you might be. I'm Cammy, you see, and so I need your help. Your help in particular. No one's going to help me, so I know what heroes you are from the western part of the country.
Oh, what do you know about us?
Well, I've been sort of waiting to see when your group came in. People expected you to be here a week or so ago, but you didn't show up. I think I might be one of the few who's was kind of still hoping you would come. But you see, there's a bit of a long story to it, but I'm the the mother of King Halivard, but I haven't been able to see him for like 10 years now, and no one will let me in to see him again, or my other son. And I really just need somebody who's, important enough to get me inside, to get me to see my son again.
I just look at her and be like, "You're full of shit. Stop lying to my face."
I know why you might think that, sir. I really do, and I don't blame you, because I'm obviously a poor person, and why would I be mother of the king? But the king, you've got to remember, he's the bastard son of King Bjorn, and when he was finally named to be the the legitimate son of the king, he was just taken away from me.
That sounds like politics. I have a distaste for politics. If your son wanted to see you, why wouldn't he send for you?
Nobody cares.
He was just 4 years old when he was taken away from me. So, and he's got, he's not completely free. The Lord Protector does most of the work for him and oversees his life in pretty much every way. It's the Lord Protector who's denying me access.
No one gives a fuck about the whole wife of some bastard. Now get out of my face.
So Helweir sort of brushes her aside, and I'll say she falls over into the mud, because why not? And you walk on to the sword and anvil.
I'll help her up. I'm not going to leave her in the mud. Lucirosi's not here, so.
Thank you, sir. If you need me, you can come to the Hardwick, and I'll be there. Any help I'd appreciate. I think the king would reward you if you did reunite us.
The Hardwick. What is that? What's the Hardwick? Is it a tavern or something?
It's a brothel, sir.
Well,
hard times indeed.
I think it's some sort of pun, sir, the Hardwick.
Yeah, I think I'm getting it now. You got a business card or anything?
No, sir.
All
But
right.
if you ask around for the Hardwick, people will be able to direct you to it.
It's like a 10-hole punch card.
It's a different kind of footlong.
So how did you hear about us? What have you heard about us?
Well, you're, like I said, I think most people think you're not coming anymore, sir, but you got to be sort of famous after the Duke of Calabria got here. He'd started talking you up.
So some Duke showed up. Is he a client of yours?
No, sir, I don't know him personally, but he and that historian of his have been talking you up to the point where I think everybody. No, her neither, sir. But you're kind of famous.
So
I mean, if you were a little more, I don't mean to be insulting at all, sir, but you've clearly been on the road for a while. I think if you were all cleaned up and all, people probably would recognize you straight away, given you're a hobgoblin and you have the dragon person, and then 2 old men with you. I think people are expecting it to look more like, like nobility, sir.
Well, I appreciate it. We may have to come by and at least send Lucirosi by. Maybe he could get more information.
Well, I know the name Lucirosi. He's the paladin. Certainly, sir. Send Lucirosi by if you think you can get me an audience with the king. I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, you get discounts for paladins or something?
We don't get many paladins, sir.
All right. Well, and I'll tip her. I'll give her a gold, silver piece or something.
Thank you, sir. God
Take
bless
care.
you, sir.
Take care of yourself.
And you follow the rest of them into the tavern. For just a second, I thought you'd be like, I give her a silver and then push her into the mud again.
Hellway comes running back out, pushes her over, and runs back.
And stay down. My wife
So
uses
she-
that same
she-
portrait for a character of hers.
Oh, yeah. Was it a prostitute?
No, I'll make sure to let her know though.
Hey, mother of a king. So it's little of this, little of that.
Yeah.
You know, assuming she's not crazy, she could be like T-Hole.
It's a very eccentric Aladdin, so Aladrin, I mean.
So you go into this the inn. It seems to be it's reasonably nice. It looks like it probably caters to more of a mercenary or adventurer set. And Daggerface ushers you. Daggerface is already at a table, already has a cup of ale in front of him.
I'll just go sit down.
T-Hole sit down in as well. He is there. Do you serve tea?
We can make tea for you if you want.
Ah, that'd be lovely. I could go for a steaming piping cup.
Very well. What do the rest of you want?
Just an ale.
Some mead.
A mead. Dragonbone.
Trying to think of what Zarius would drink. A water.
All right. I will go and get your drinks. And Daggerface tosses him 2 gold. Thank you, sir. And that guy wanders off. Daggerface looks in and says, if you want to get any business done in this city, most of the sorts of things you would want to probably hear in the Travelers District. Like if you wanted to sell anything of value, this is the better place to do it. Unless it's not ridiculously expensive, and then you probably have to go inside to get to where the wealthier people are. But most of the adventuring companies, mercenary companies, that sort of thing, they'll be out here. Most of the work of the jewelers, although some of them may live inside the walls, most of them have shops out here.
I pull out the map and take a look at it.
The map updates essentially every hour.
Ah.
And it shows essentially from the top of the map to the bottom, it shows about a mile.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have a lot of detail. It shows you essentially the walls. It clearly is not showing you like all of the buildings.
Sure.
And it shows you sort of the rise of, there's a little bit of a sense of how steep the hills are, the sides of the mountain are, and the different levels of elevation. But you can see, assuming Lucirosi is with you, that where you are on the map
Has a marker on it. No
It has
other.
there's a red spot that looks like any other ink spot, but you know from playing with it previously when Daggerface threw the mace that red spot will move.
Okay. I'll just I'll watch it for a moment then to see if anything else moves.
While you're watching it, you don't see anything else move.
Okay. I'll roll it up and tuck it away again.
I'm gonna look around this area. I guess like the tavern area of this inn or the restaurant section or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is in? I'm just looking to see if anybody else notices us. It seems like we have some sort of status. So is anybody like?
So far, no. It is reasonably crowded. Most of the people, though, appear to be sort of keeping to themselves. It's at this point, it is sort of later in the afternoon. But nobody seems as if they're focused in on you.
Okay. Yeah, because when that guy comes back with the drinks, I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask him what he knows about Watchtower.
So he comes back. He sits down. There's a steaming cup of what appears to be dirty water that he sets down in front of T-Hole. And then there's the ale and the mead and a cup of water that he sets down in front of Zarius. And he says, just a tip. I don't know if I would drink the water around here, but, you know, you're a dragon, so maybe you don't get sick. And then he leaves. But you can ask him something before he leaves.
Yeah. So said, hey.
As he turns.
Hey, friend, we might be headed to Watchtower. What can you tell me about that place?
Well, I can't tell you that much, sir, but I know that they recently had a problem with some sort of demon that was murdering babies and impersonating people within the city. But luckily, a group of heroes passed through and fought and killed the demon and forced him out of whoever's body he was inhabiting. He came out of that body and formed, and I heard he stood like 100 feet high, so high he like blocked out the sun, and still they managed to somehow defeat him. They were supposed to be coming here, but that was weeks ago. It all might be bullshit, I'll be honest with you, but it's been a fun little story people have been talking about.
It sounds like a bullshit story.
The rumor has it was the nobles who spread the story around, which is, I think, maybe why a lot of people were thinking that it could be true. But if those guys were showing up, they haven't.
They probably got lost.
I know I'm lost.
They probably wouldn't stop here anyway. They would go directly in. I mean, my understanding is that they're friends with the Duke of Calabria or something like that. So they probably would have just, he would have met them at the gates and ushered them right inside. So little folk like us, we wouldn't even have seen them. So maybe they are here, but everybody's basically been saying for the past couple of days that it's all bullshit.
That's right. The Duke is here. I forgot. He was such a friendly guy. Perhaps we could try to meet with him. We should have gotten a chance to talk to him.
You know the Duke of Calabria, sir?
Ah, yes. We've ran into each other a few times. He's a very nice fellow.
And he starts to he's looking around the table at each of you.
I'm ignoring that guy now, and I just look T-Hole. I could send him a message.
Hey, are you guys the ones from Watchtower?
We have been there.
Did you fight the giant demon who blocked out the sun?
He wasn't that big.
But you did. Hey, everybody! These are the guys who fought the demon in Watchtower. They actually came. and they stayed at my inn.
We're doing so good.
At this point, like all of the activity in the bar has stopped, and people have turned, and they're all now staring at you.
I'm T-Hole, your emperor.
And there's a cheer goes up as you even start to say that.
It's so lovely to see you.
Glasses are raised in the air.
Subjects.
The server reaches down and takes the cup of water and the tea away, throws them on the ground. No, you're not drinking that shit. You'll die. Let me go get you something that won't kill you.
Well, I'm glad I only took one sip then.
So now people have gotten up out of their chairs and are crowding around. Press actually really close into you. Like he has a hard time even getting back to the bar now, fighting his way through the crowd. Having to tell them, like, get out of my way. I got to get them drinks.
Where is Lucharosi in all of this?
I assume he's there with you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he was in Mallet Space or off on some errand.
Technically, he is there with you, but that's Mallet's
Sending him
base.
to the brothel later.
Right. He was out of it when you were talking to the prostitute. Maybe paladins don't see prostitutes. Maybe that's a thing. Their eyes cannot be sullied by the sight of prostitutes.
He's just looking at everybody confused. Who are you talking to? Yeah, if the crowd gets too loud, I would.
They're incredibly loud. They're all essentially shouting questions, overlapping at you at this point. You hear things like "What happened? Tell us your story," but a lot of it is just incoherent noise.
I cast silence on the crowd. That'll give us 10 minutes.
So you cast silence. It covers a substantial portion of the dining room area of this place. So a lot of the crowd has silence. They're still pressing around the sides of the table. So I assume you didn't silence your own table.
No.
So you still hear them. But now a lot of them you see are standing in the area of silence, and several of them are essentially going like this. And they're starting to panic. And they're tripping over one another. People are being trampled.
Do you wish
Some of them burst out the front door. Some of them have run to the back. There's people are have broken bones and are bleeding on the ground from being trampled by the crowd in the silence.
Now, do the people know? Can I tell if they know what happened?
I would say you could be pretty sure that a number of them thought that they were struck deaf.
So Lucharosi, I'm sure, will go and heal the people who've been trampled.
I'm sure he will.
Do you wish me to
Lucharosi will go out and as you discussed this, Lucharosi has gone out and is helping up the people who've been trampled and trying to prevent the other ones from panicking.
All the while not being able to actually tell anybody, don't panic.
Right. He's more or less, he understands how silence works, so he's not weirded out by the fact that he doesn't make any noise, but he is shaking people and lifting people up off the ground and using his lay on hands to heal them.
It's perfect.
What happened to Mike? Did he the beginning?
Email.
He was here. Oh, did he send an email? I didn't see it.
I think so.
So his current mood, and it's just
It's an angry GIF.
Oh.
Whoa! Here he is.
Was his computer dead?
Is that
kind of here? Hey,
okay? Okay. All right. Mike moved. That's good. I thought it was frozen.
I want to just destroy everything. Like, I have a glass desk, and I just want to break it into pieces. I want to throw my cats around the room, and
It's good that none of this is streaming now. So
That'd be pretty bad nunchucks.
The good news is they have a place Lucia Rossi needs to go.
yes, they do.
Yeah. So, in your absence, we promised a whore that you would visit the brothel.
I asked if they gave paladins discounts, but she just didn't say anything.
interesting. So is
I pushed her in the mud.
so did I get on just in time for us to end the game?
There's a little bit more.
Because you said that it's not streaming.
That was a joke.
I'm just really frustrated.
That was a joke.
Oh gosh. Okay.
We're still streaming. So briefly, what happened since you were gone is there was another failed travel skill check.
Of course.
And that was Kajika trying stealth again, which meant that he, in order to avoid the creature that ran off, tried to get everybody to go into stealth. But I think he rolled a nat 1. So guess who came back for more food? The creature. Which did manage to down Hellweir, but he was brought back. So that got defeated. After several more days of travel, including T-Hole's successful skill check, where he discovered all of his secret caches of food and treasure from 1,000 years ago have been turned into swanky rest stop.
Yes, when he built the road to where we're going.
Right.
Huh.
So they were swanky enough that everybody managed to get rid of their exhaustion. There were cabins waiting for everybody to rest in. So Lucia Rossi is at least no longer exhausted. You
good.
approached the city. You ran into the ambassador from the Hobgoblin Nation who was hunting. Lucia Rossi understood virtually none of what he said because he said it all in Goblin. But he mostly talked to Kajika. Then you went in, you found you could get through the outer gates into the traveler district of the city, but you couldn't get through any of the inner gates that would have led you to where the citizens live and ultimately to where the nobles live. So you couldn't get to Dom Petronio just yet. You had to, Daggerface said you have to hire a page. The page will go in. Dom Petronio will send out the appropriate papers to get you through the gate, is the normal way. There was an argument about the fact that Dom Petronio doesn't know who Daggerface is. So how the hell will he know when he says Daggerface is here to send out anything?
Right.
But that was settled. The Hobgoblin ambassador said that you were famous because everybody knew who you were in the town. Because bored nobles, the whole group.
Oh, okay.
Because bored nobles have very little to talk about. And so the exploits of your group were kind of the topic of the day of conversation. So on your way back from the gate, though, being turned away, T-Hole decided to see if the crown would be enough that he wears would be enough to get up through the gate. It was not. You were an elven, you guess prostitute because she told you to find her at the Hardwick, which is a whorehouse. She came up to you and said that, difficult to believe as it may be, she is actually the mother of the current 14-year-old half-elven king, who was taken away from her 10 years ago when the king decided to recognize him as his son. And that nobody's let her, she hasn't been able to see him for the past 10 years, and she just needs help. But the nobles have no interest in helping her. So she was hoping, what with you being famous heroes and all, that she was holding out hope that maybe you could get her in to see the king.
Do we have any veracity to her claims?
That's going to be your role.
Right now, it's just what she said. You have no reason to think she's not crazy.
And she made the mistake of approaching Hellweir first.
Mm-hmm. Oh God!
Who pushed her into the mud
and called her an elf whore. Among other things.
Called her an elf whore. So then you came. You're currently in the tavern where Daggerface told the page to have the message from Dom Petronio sent. And Lucirosi is, right now, Lucirosi is standing in a field of silence because once everybody recognized who you were, all of the people in this bar started crowding around and were just shouting questions and talking amongst themselves. So Zarius cast silence on them all, which caused them to think they've gone deaf, which caused a panic. So they started trampling one another in an effort to flee. At which point, Lucirosi went out and waded into the field of silence to try to get people off the ground and maybe calm the panic.
That is exactly what he would have done. So yeah, Lucirosi would then continue carrying people off and trying to bring them out of the zone of silence to.
Right. The problem is that the 20-foot radius on the zone of silence, it like doesn't. You took it. It wound up that Daggerface got here before everyone else because they were out talking to the prostitute. So he took a table that's in the corner. 20-foot radius is so big, it takes up like a lot of the common area, the drinking area of this tavern. So it's not that easy to get out of the zone of silence. You basically have to put people outside. In fact, the zone of silence probably extends out of the front of the building a little bit.
I'm actually, I don't even know if Lucirosi would necessarily understand the mechanics of silence, and so he would. I assume that he certainly knew and saw Zarius as the one responsible for this.
Yeah, he would have cast a spell right in front of you.
So. Yeah, Lucirosi would just do his best to try and sign some way that it's okay, and also shoot angry glances at Zarius, which Lucirosi would hope would communicate, fix this.
You just see T-Hole like with an open mouth laughter.
Oh yeah, we also had the realization that the Duke is here, and we might be able to utilize his connections, which probably maybe a higher standing. I don't know.
The Duke actually, he also mentioned that he and Petronio are kind of from the same region, like their primary lands are in the same region. He also backed the wrong horse in the Succession War. So he has land here, but he doesn't consider his lands here to be his most important holdings. But nonetheless, he was summoned to come here, so he had to come.
Got it.
Remind me, who is the Duke and why are we looking for Dom Petronio?
The Duke was the guy who established the White Quills in Watchtower.
Okay.
So he was the one who was hosting you for a while you were in Watchtower.
Just keep Kijiko away from him.
Right. Although he is also the one who apparently was telling everybody about what heroes you all were. So the story apparently originated with him or possibly his historian, one or the other, but it's being attributed to him.
And as far as we know, they have not been to the brothel. So.
Yes, that was also asked if the Duke or the historian were patrons of the brothel, but she said no. Okay. Not that. Why would she announce who her clients are, though?
Right.
She also said they don't get many paladins. Which, who else would be going to a brothel but paladins?
Right. Exactly. All right. So it seems my computer is completely working now. Both the Roll20 and Hangouts are good. So let's see if we can keep this show going.
Yeah.
So you're sitting around the table. I forget what you were asking.
I was asking if we wanted me to send a message to the Duke.
Yes. Or
we can talk. I set it just away from our table.
Oh, gotcha. Yes.
So everybody else.
Yes, we should definitely send one. He was a chap, a great chap. I think he would be happy to see that we finally made it, even though he refused to accompany us.
Well, it wasn't us in particular that he was refusing, but yes.
Could I make some kind of charisma or persuasion check to kind of exude an aura of confidence in the zone of silence to get people to calm down?
Sure. Make a persuasion check.
All right.
A lot of the people sort of fled, trampling over other people as they went, but they sort of fled early on. So that is enough to calm down the people who remain. Some of whom, tried to like flee into a corner or over to the bar and still didn't find the edge of the zone of silence. A few of the people who did remain and didn't get trampled seemed to be a little more aware of the effect, and so recognized that maybe they weren't permanently deaf. So they wandered out in a more orderly fashion, but you calmed down the ones who remain, who seem freaked out.
Are there any amongst them that seem like they may have been hurt in the trampling?
There are at least 5 people who were knocked over and stepped on as people tried to flee.
All right. So I'll spend some healing hands on them. I don't know how much per person would be good.
3 or 4 would probably be enough.
Okay. All right. I'll spend 4 points then. Wait, 3 or 4 total or per person?
3 or 4 per person.
Okay. And there's how many of them?
5.
Okay. Yeah, I'll spend 20 points then.
So you were having the conversation about sending the message to Calabria?
Yes. What do you need to send the message?
Just the message that we wish for him to receive. Up to 25 words.
Waiting in Anvil. Is it the Anvil and Tavern? Or Anvil and...
Sword and Anvil.
Waiting in Sword and Anvil. Love your favorite adventures.
Let's see.
P.S. No demons here.
What's the guy that we've already sent a message to again?
Dom Petronio. Oh, and for Mike, Dom Petronio is Samus Holbein's lord, and he's who Lokexicus told you to get in touch with when you got here.
Right. Okay. So he's got more information on exactly where the door might be. Then, hopefully, one would assume.
Right.
Meanwhile, as I'm healing all those people and helping them out, I'm also going to go up to the barkeep and give him 3 gold pieces for the inconvenience that Zaria's caused.
So there is no barkeep behind the bar anymore. Originally, the one of the servers came over and gave everybody drinks, but he gave this sort of dirty colored water as tea to T-Hole, and then just a cup of plain water to Zarius. He then promptly, when he realized who you were and that you were the heroes who defeated the demon in Watchtower, threw those drinks like right over his shoulder because he didn't want to kill these two with this poison. So he went back, but you haven't seen him since. There was a bartender and other servers. They appear to be gone.
Were they trampled?
No, they weren't amongst the people who were trampled, but they may have just cleared out because of the silence. In which case, they'd probably be in the back.
I would probably then write a note on whatever I can find, saying apologies for the disturbance. Here, this is for your troubles. And then after that, I would walk back to the table with the rest of them.
So all the people look, they look a little calmer now, or a little more subdued at least?
The people who are left look a little sort of confused. Some of them look maybe a little stunned. Mostly, though, people are, when they regain their wits, are wandering out rather than sitting in the absolute silence.
All right. Yeah, so I'll send that message there, and then I'll drop the silence.
So what's the message again?
I put it in the thing there. Should be, I think, 22 words. So
I just look at Lucius and be like, there he goes again, healing and paying the local bums.
Somebody has to clean up these messes that somehow seem to follow us wherever we go. Not to name names, but usually others than myself causing it.
You didn't even care about the donkey. What's wrong with you?
I am saddened by the donkey, but I don't think it was worth risking our own lives and further continuing bloodshed.
If only you helped the first time, I wouldn't have been down by that damn beast. But you're too coward. You're too cowardly.
Hellweir, I believe that I have proven myself time and again to be anything but a coward. Just because you don't like my actions does not make me a coward.
Calm down, Hellweir. There's plenty of ale here. We shall drink it. And hopefully we'll still be sober enough to handle the pages when they come back.
I think for once I shall also imbibe.
So Daggerface also said that if you wanted to like buy or sell anything, that this is probably the better district to do it in, unless you're looking at like really expensive things.
It's like I hit the table and I go, Rasali! And I like cheer, and no one does it, so I cheers myself.
Lucirosi would probably look to unload all of the gems that he has for more current in exchange for like actual currency.
you don't think people would take gems for currency?
Oh, I know they would, but I'm not sure that I would get change back.
Probably lighter.
I mean, people would, but like I require appraisals, so people might not know what their value was. In fact, I don't think Lucia Rosie knows what their value is.
No. But I assume Lucia Rosie's been around, seen enough gems to know that there's a good chance that they're worth something.
Yeah, you definitely know they're worth something.
I'll relay the response to my message as well.
Wonderful.
Someone here within the hour.
Wonderful. That'll give me just enough time to run to the ink shop.
Ink shop? What are you going on about, T-Hole?
I just have a few things. I forgot. Well, before we left Watchtower, I was preoccupied with thinking about tea. So I want to try to find, just run really quick to see if I could find a place to get special inks and materials for copying from the codex.
Okay. Give me an investigation check. So yeah, you're able to find essentially a company that hires out scribes, and they have a fairly wide selection of inks and other materials to do like book illuminations.
Okay, so I'm gonna get purple ink.
Okay, so you go in. There's a person in there who sort of sees that you appear to be an adventurer and guesses that you're probably looking for ink that's suitable for use in a spell book. He leads you around and shows you what they have. You're able to find one that's purple.
Huh, this is just my style.
Adds 20% to it.
Thank you.
So you buy enough that you can, whatever, I forget what the gold piece number is, 50 gold pieces per spell level, I think.
Do you have anything besides, do you have any spell books laying around here?
We don't have anything like that immediately handy, sir, but I do know where you might be able to find one. There's a rare bookshop that a lot of adventurers frequent. So if anybody's going to have one, I know he does sometimes have things like spell component pouches and other things wizards use. It's not that far away. You should be able to find it relatively easily.
Okay. Thank you.
And you go there. There's an elderly man who seems to be puttering around, putting books on shelves. Can I help you, sir?
Yes, I hear that you have a fine array of magical spell books here. I just thought I would peruse your selection.
I don't know that they're magical per se, but I think they're adequate for scribing spells. And I used to be a wizard myself, so I do know what I'd be looking for. Not a particularly skilled or famous one, mind you, but I know my stuff. And often adventurers will come here to sell things like that when they find them. He leads you over to a bookshelf as he's talking. You'll find them here. I only have 6 at the moment, but they should serve your needs.
Wonderful.
I also have a collection of spellcasting items, wands and orbs. I have a staff upstairs you could also use as a spellcasting focus. I don't know if you're interested in that, but if you are, let me know.
What can I see this staff?
Of course, I'll go and get it. Feel free to look at the books.
So I'll peruse the books and kind of thumb through them.
Off to the side. They appear to be more or less, they're slightly different, like in the terms of how they were constructed, but they all appear as though they would serve as spell books. They appear to be of sufficient quality. All but one of them rather are basically just standard parchment books wrapped in leather. The 6th one is also it also has a leather cover, but the outside of the leather cover has been covered over with a fabric called silver cloth, which you've seen before. You found some of it before. The silver cloth itself is waterproof, which wouldn't necessarily protect the pages very well, but it would protect the cover.
Well, this is pretty cool. This is about my style.
Normally, what wizards will do is they'll get a bag made of silver cloth that can be sealed up so that if they fall into water, the whole book is essentially kept dry. If you're ever drinking coffee near your spell book, maybe it will help.
Or tea.
Right, or scribing your spell book on the toilet.
Just gotta get the latest spells from Reddit. So while it's interesting, he wouldn't want to purchase any of them.
And the man comes back down holding a staff. It's relatively ornate. It's clearly designed to be a spellcasting focus. It could also be used as a quarterstaff.
Can I tell if it's magical?
Not well. You can give me an Arcana check. It's usually hard without casting Detect Magic. Yeah, you really can't tell if there's any particular aura about it.
Well, then I guess I'll cast Detect Magic.
You don't sense a magical aura.
Do I sense any magical auras around?
No, not in the shop.
Okay. How much for the staff?
I think 1 gold piece would be enough for it, sir.
Sold. And I'll hand him my old staff.
Oh, thank you.
Staff.
Did you want any of the spell books?
No, I'm good. Thank you, though. So then I'll leave the shop and go back to the tavern and be like, well, I'm ready. Now that I have a better staff, I can look more like nobility going in. This will definitely help our cause.
So while he's doing that, not only would I be trying to get these gems exchanged for coins, but also to avoid future pitfalls of traveling in the wintertime, looking for proper winter gear, tents, and better sleeping bags and things like that.
All of that, I mean, all the cold weather clothing and tents would be easy to find. Where's Daggerface? Daggerface is going to go with you since he has some stuff to sell too.
Okay. I would like to try and just at least vaguely appraise these gems myself. Not assuming that I would even have a good understanding, but at least have kind of a baseline for myself what I think these might be worth.
Okay. What's roll me an investigation check.
Okay.
So you would guess what gems do you have again?
I have 2 amber, 1 amethyst, 1 coral, 1 garnet, 1 jade, 1 pearl, 1 spinel or spinal, and 1 tourmaline.
You would guess that you would be able to get that the fair value for them is probably their monetary value, I should say, is probably about 100 gold pieces each.
Oh wow!
So
for each of them?
For each of them.
Okay, so I may not convert all of them then because I don't want to be carrying too much gold around. So maybe
that's it. A jeweler is unlikely to give you the whole 100 because they have to resell them.
Yeah.
But you got.
So I'll probably try to sell no more than like. I don't want to get back any more than like 100 gold pieces plus costs for winter gear and tents.
Okay, so give me a persuasion check as you negotiate a price for 2 of them, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're able to they basically don't understand the price of what they're buying. So they essentially offer you for the 2 gems. They offer you 300 gold pieces.
No, that's far too much.
Of course. Those pictures would be
Well,
Certainly, these gems are not worth that much.
they are. He has takes out a loop and starts looking at them again through the loop. Well, how much were you looking to get for them?
Perhaps 120 gold pieces.
Well, far be it for me to argue with a customer who's asking for a lower price. So he goes off and comes back with a bag of coins.
Mm-hmm. And sir, it's not about getting a lower price, just making sure that I'm trading fairly. I don't want to get anything.
I completely understand, and I appreciate your honesty. You don't see many honest people these days.
Of course, sir.
Dustin is disgusted and drops.
Down with it.
And so may you continue to walk in the light of Asheros.
Thank you, sir. You too.
That's how you start a riot, man. You think my silence was bad? Wait till you tell everybody what you got for those.
So I'm looking at this email, and I guess this is the stuff that Daggerface found that we ended up with, the 35 gold and the 60 silver and all that stuff.
Yep.
So that would all the 35 gold, 60 silver, 10 black metal coins all be split 5 ways, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And these 4 items, I would just assume that we would sell. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Yeah, that's up to you guys.
The cloak and the belt and the boots and the unknown black wood wand.
Actually, I think T-Hole claimed the wand.
Okay.
I did.
That's fine.
Oh, right. There were those items.
Yeah, it was from March 1st email. So...
March 1st.
Oh, yeah, because we were in the zone of magic, and I couldn't identify the wand.
Yeah, I'll say when you cast your detect magic, it is not magical either. It's just a spellcasting focus, but a nice one. So it probably, assuming he bought it, it probably cost him 50 gold.
I wouldn't want any of the coins. Lucirosi would feel like he has enough money to last him fine.
I'll take it.
But I think I would like the gray hooded cloak.
All right.
I only have 16 gold pieces.
Unless somebody else already claimed the cloak.
I think only the wand got claimed.
Seamus took something.
Oh yeah, no. Seamus, the stuff that was left over is what I listed separately.
Yeah.
Seamus took like an earring and the tent.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna take Lucius.
Maybe one of those black coins too. Because how many? There were the 10 black coins.
And so we each get 2.
Right.
But if we can sell the other stuff like that, the belt and the boots and the belt and the boots, I don't know what we can get for them. He appraised one at 250 and one at 25, and that's not Luceros who's going to be negotiating that. So.
Yeah, it would be interesting if anybody else came with me during that interaction. What would happen?
Daggerface was there with you, but
What was
Daggerface.
Daggerface's reaction?
Oh, he wholly approved of the fact. He didn't actually appraise them himself that well, but he approved of you only seeking a fair price. Yeah, essentially, the prices that are here are what you could sell them for, rather than like what you would have to pay to buy them. So if you sold them, that's what you would get.
Okay. So 275.
Yeah, for the belt and the boots.
Yeah. So is that going to be split 4 ways since Lucerus, he's not taking his cut? Making me do math here.
What do you need? Let's get a calculator.
So basically, 60 gold pieces a person. There's a couple left over.
How many? There was a cough.
68.
68. Sweet.
Oh, in addition to the cold weather gear and tent, I'd also want to buy some arrows so that in case I ever need to use this ornate bow I have.
Yeah, those are also easy to find.
So I know at some point I've been collecting stuff to make ammo. So at some point, I guess I would make my ammo, like, you know, when I would rest tonight or something, because it wasn't really made sense to try to do it on the road.
Yeah, I mean, you could have done it over the course of long rests, certainly like when you were in the cabins. But just make me a Tinker Tool check. I think it's DC 10.
Okay, it's not doing anything.
What's your bonus?
I have no idea. Proficiency is 3, so I would be proficient in it, and whatever skill it uses, which I don't know what that.
It's dexterity to make ammo.
Okay, so it would be a +6. So just roll and add +6.
Yeah.
Well, so 17 total.
Yeah, so you're able to make ammo.
Okay. So I guess my next question would be: is anybody in this town sell? No. Would there be a way, since I sort of make my own ammo, if I could make any of them with like acid or poison or something on them?
You certainly the easy one to do would be to find poison. Acid might be a little harder to keep on the bullet,
Right.
Or you'd have to make it would take more. You need more downtime to develop something that had like a capsule of acid in it.
Right.
But it's potentially possible.
Okay.
But you could dip bullets in poison. The problem is poison dries after a minute.
After what?
A minute.
Okay.
So, like, if you were going to poison arrows, usually you dip a bunch of arrows in the poison, and then you fire them.
Okay.
You know, again, you might be able to come up with a way of making a bullet that has like a chamber with poison in it that breaks on impact. But inventing hollow point bullets will take downtime.
Okay. What about finding something that resembles a silencer?
That would also take downtime. That would be a new invention that doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
I mean, is your gun like old school World War or like a Civil War type gun? Or do you
Like
have
a blunderbuss?
Or do you have like barreling going on?
Yeah, it's a revolver.
Well, one of them is a revolver. One of them is like the pistol just has multiple barrels to it, so you can fire off multiple shots before you have to reload. They're all breech loading, but they're still like the pistol is essentially a matchlock. The rifle is a flintlock. Mm.
Okay. Well, I'll go. I will go and find some poison. At least I'll go that route.
Okay, make me an investigation check.
Just walk around town. Hey, you know where I can get some poison?
If I have to, I'll just.
Don't mind me. I'm just the hobgoblin in a city looking for poison.
Yep. So you're wandering around asking for poison. People are getting out of your way. Shops are closing when you come up to ask if they sell poison.
Well, I'll have to go to the brothel then.
Plan B.
They probably know.
Yeah, you just dip the bullets in the snatch.
Look for poison, not disease.
Okay.
Not sure Brendan knows how certain things work. Anybody else doing anything?
Zarius has been walking for far too long, so he's just sitting there with his bum leg propped up.
So as you're sorry, go ahead.
I'd be getting drunk and sort of cursing Lucirosi and cheering Sally.
So what kind of drunk is Hellweir?
I'd be like fumbly, but very like just like normal. I'd just be grunting a lot, like and like kind of sleep, but not. Yeah.
Are you the kind? Is Hellweir the kind of drunk that like you hope you don't make eye contact with?
Yeah. I'd point at you and be like, "Boy, look
Oh, great.
Well, then you have a problem because when the silence wears off, eventually people start filtering back in, and the bartender and the servers come back out from the back. And they're more than happy to, like, now one of the servers has been sent outside by the bartender, and he's outside saying, "That's right, the hero's a watchtower inside here right now. Come one, come all. 2 drink minimum. Please, no touching the heroes."
It ended badly last time.
If you want to touch the heroes, it's an extra gold. So the bar quickly fills up again once the silence ends. Everyone else is off doing things. You're getting drunk, but there's now like a crowd of people who are again imploring you to tell the story of how you defeated the demon in Watchtower.
like, "Get the fuck away from me!" That's what I'd be doing. Be doing a lot of that.
So the bar is probably as packed as it's ever been. As people are coming in, paying for the 2 drinks just to even get a glimpse of really just like the 2 of you.
I think if anyone like tried to touch me, I'd probably like lift up my stool and threaten to hit them with it.
At one point, somebody does come in. Like you feel a hand on your back as they've now encircled the table.
I'd be like, "Don't fucking touch me!" I push him away, and then like flip a chair over.
Yeah, like he tried to get away without paying the gold, so it was a pretty light touch, so that maybe you wouldn't notice. But you caught him. And as you're sitting there, you see a very well dressed dwarf, probably some sort of nobility, or at least a pretty highly placed servant, if nothing else, makes his way through the crowd and says, "Excuse me, are you the people from Watchtower?"
Who's this beardless fuck?
This one actually does have a beard.
Where the fuck did that come from?
If I were to use lesser restoration, would it get rid of the drunkenness?
I would say yes.
All right, cool. Touch Hellweir. Cast lesser restoration.
I thought that was a bearded elf. What the fuck is going on?
Celebrations are over.
The Colossus in the dead pools. Is that not you?
I'm not familiar with this term, but we are from Watchtower.
I was sent to fetch you. I was told to find you here and take you into the High District.
Which one sent you?
Which one, sir? Don Petronio. Don Petronio asked me to come and collect you and take you to his palace. You
Good.
send him a note, I believe?
A note was sent, yes. We will wait here a moment longer.
So I assume the rest of you return.
Yeah.
How much money did I spend getting all my cold weather gear and stuff?
It's whatever the PHB prices are for cold weather gear and tents. It's not
Okay.
that much.
Okay, cool.
Ah, a bearded dwarf. This is a beautiful sight.
Well,
What is your name?
Glad if you are happy, sir, then I am glad for it. I think you'll find there's quite a mix of styles, but my name is Thymol.
It's nice to meet you. I'm your Lord Emperor, T-Hole.
Very droll, sir. Are you ready to travel?
So, Thymol, you're from here, right?
Originally, sir, no. I travel with the Dom. I'm originally from Lucianum in the south.
So, how long you been here?
We've been here now going on a month. We were planning on going on procession from here, but we were unfortunately delayed, and then we had heard that...
Well, you're not going to know where I can find any poison. Let's get moving.
I believe we should wait just a little bit
Poison.
longer.
Kajiko, what are you speaking of? and that's when Lucirosi comes in.
And then, since Lucirosi has come in, just as you said that, Daggerface says, "Oh, I have poison," and he slings the backpack off. What do you need poison for?
Well, to put it on my projectile so I can kill things. What do you think?
That's fair. I don't know what this poison does exactly, but I found it on that elf.
Oh.
It's a vial of poison. It's probably enough to coat, not a whole lot, but maybe 10 pieces of ammunition. And just so I don't forget it, it actually does It doesn't. This particular poison doesn't do extra damage unless you get a critical hit. If you get a critical hit, it does 10 extra damage. But on any hit, the person who's hit with it has to make a DC 13 concentration save or be poisoned for an hour. And if he fails the saving throw by 5 or more, he goes unconscious.
Okay.
Although he wakes up if he's damaged or if somebody shakes him awake. So it's essentially a sleep poison.
Okay, so it's DC 13.
Yeah. I'm just going to hit an attack just to show you the...
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
I believe the Duke was also going to send someone.
Yes.
Which Duke, sir?
What was his name?
Calabria.
Duke Calabria.
Yes, that one.
Would you care to wait for him? I assume if he knows that you left, he will return to the Duke's estate.
Well, once we're inside, we can go pay a visit to the Duke ourselves.
That is true.
I'm sure he'd be happy to see us, Kajika most of all.
Yeah, we could stop there on the way if you prefer. Although I know the Dom would definitely like to see Seamus Holbein. Daggerface! On Daggerface!
Yeah, we better go see this Dom fellow.
Yeah. So let's stop by the Dukes afterwards.
So he leads you back to the gate. He hands you each a scroll under a seal. And it's not, well, I shouldn't say, it's not under seal, but each of the documents is sealed. So when you unroll it, you see there's a fairly elaborate symbol that apparently represents Dom Petronio's personal seal. As you pass through the outer gates, they ask to see these papers. So you show them all and they let you through. You're then ushered through an inner set of gates that leads you into through the first set of gates, the houses are definitively nicer than the ones in the Travelers District. Going through a second set of gates, you come to an even nicer district. You then go through yet another set of gates and come to something. It's essentially just a series of walled compounds. All of them are very extensive. There can't be many of them here, but maybe 50 or so people in the entire district. He then winds around several different streets that don't seem to have a completely logical layout to them, but leads you up to a black iron gate at the top of which you see a symbol that's clearly engraved with dwarven runes around it that matches the seal that's on the paperwork you were given. Leads you inside a building that's really huge. It is clearly a palace. And inside, you're greeted by, let me find this picture. You're greeted by another beardless dwarf who immediately comes up to you and then sees Seamus Holbein and pauses in shock, although Seamus is wearing his mask. So maybe the shock would have been even worse had he not been. And he says, "Hello, I am Duke Dom Cornelius de Corso Petronio, Lord of Lucianum, and I welcome you all to my home. I had heard of the troubles that Seamus Holbein, Daggerface, had. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I completely understand. I've been informed of your situation, Daggerface, and I intend to talk to you about your plans and what has happened to you at great length. But I'm sure you're all very tired. Do you want to talk now or do you want to rest? Whatever works best for you. Please let me know."
I think given how long it has taken us and how we have been beset, it would be better to try and speak now so that we can continue on our way as soon as possible.
Yes, very good. Please follow me. And he leads you into a large, probably, it is probably a sort of a conference room. It's got a very large circular table in there. The table is large enough that it seats probably 20 people. Although there's not 20 chairs there now, there are many chairs that sort of circle the walls of the room. Tapestries are hung pretty much in every room of the building. It's very typical in its dwarvenness. It's clearly all very expensive. He must be either very wealthy or at least he inherited a building that's probably worth quite a lot. And he goes over and sits down in a high-backed, ornate chair. Dwarven runes and images circle the back of the chair. And he says, please have a seat. And he signals to a servant and says, please bring water and wine for our guests and ale for me. Bring pitchers of them, in fact. Do you need food?
I'm starving.
Then
Yes,
see,
it has been a while since we've eaten a good meal.
please tell the kitchen to prepare either an early dinner or a late luncheon and bring it into us. So, I have been contacted. Many people have been contacted by Lokexicus. I don't know that she has informed you of every person that she's talked to, but she did go to great lengths to prepare materials for you so that you could prepare better for your audience with initially the Lord Protector, but also the King. I've managed to secure you also access to the court. The King and the Lord Protector may or may not be there. That varies by day, but you should be able to talk to many of the people that you may want to, if you at least want to get access to this door of yours. What did Lokexicus tell you?
She said the door was originally in Watchtower, and that it's moved here.
Yes, the now Duke Prideguard essentially hammered the whole section of the wall out that the door was attached to, put it in a cart and rode it here. It was considered to be quite a coup. It raised his standing quite a bit, although he was always a favorite of the Lord Protector. He was a marquis when I last saw him, and for bringing the door here, he has become a duke. This despite his government having been infiltrated apparently by a demon, or so the story the Duke de Calabria tells people. But at least that means he should be indebted to you. He's a difficult man, but I'm sure he will want to reward you in some way or other for your service to him. He's a difficult but not entirely dishonorable man, I suppose I should say.
So you say he hammered out the entire door and then brought it here on cart?
He hammered out the door. Yes, the door is actually quite large, as I understand it. I haven't seen it myself. It must be stored in one of the palaces, but I couldn't tell you which one specifically. I have my guesses, but there are 4 different palaces that the king maintains here in the city. It really could be in any of them. I suspect it's in the one that's hardest to get to because it is such a prize. It is a curious thing, though, because people don't like black magic. And if there's anyone whose name is associated with black magic, it's Mordenkainen. So that his door is here, you would think it would be more controversial than it is. I suppose not that many people really know what the door is. They only know that it's important.
Yeah, so you mentioned
all the nobles you meet will know that it's Mordenkainen's door. But yeah, I mean the commons, they won't know.
You mentioned materials that Lokexicus has prepared for us. She has already left us a dossier with the history of the door. Has she provided additional materials?
Oh, yes. I, in fact, was up late into the evening last week. You are very late. We thought you had left Watchtower very shortly after the Duke, but the Duke's been here for 2-3 weeks now, so we were expecting you a day or two after. Must have been, maybe you had other business. I don't know, but
No other business. Just beset by a number of unfortunate events.
There were, I hear, a series of storms, so I'm sorry your travel was so rough. But yes, Lokexicus knew that we'd be able to get you audiences with relevant people at the court. And so she decided it would be best for you to know who you were dealing with rather than going in blind. Ultimately, if you want access to the door, you will have to convince the king of that, King Halivard. Very young man, nice boy, but not. I shouldn't say anything ill of the king because, of course, he is my lord, and I owe him a duty of fealty here. But he's very young, and so that could work in your favor, or it could work against you.
What do you know of his mother?
Of whom?
His mother.
Well, his father was a very hard man. I knew him very well, and he had a bit of a wandering eye. So they had an elven servant named Kame, and Kame, well, she was very attractive. She was a very attractive woman. He had an affair with her. He immediately had her husband and son, Islathor, exiled. They left the kingdom. He then became a bit, again, I don't want to say anything that might seem insulting to the king, but he became bored with the mother and was planning on casting her out. He then learned that she was pregnant and cast her out anyway because, frankly, bastards didn't have that much of a standing in the court. He later changed his mind, though, and went and took both the child and then a very short time later, his brother Islathor, his half-brother Islathor, and brought them into court. Islathor was originally a servant, but he later rose when his brother came to power 2 years ago. So other than that, Kamai is somewhere in the city, I assume. She may have left for parts unknown. She was poor, is my understanding. She had a very hard life after she was thrown out. I know she tried to get a job in many different households as a servant after the king spurned her, but no nobleman's wife wants to have the king's lover as her servant.
Can we acquire another of your passage papers?
I suppose. Who should it be made out in the name of?
Kame.
Oh. And he looks less.
Zarius, are you sure that this is wise? I mean, we already, I don't know if you are very familiar, but I've had a number of interactions and having to deal with nobles. It is not a pleasant experience. In fact, it is one of the things that I most enjoy about our current endeavors and this company. It's having to not answer so strongly to these people because the affairs that they have woven for themselves and the pomp and circumstance of everything, it's exhausting. So I wonder if it might be best to avoid, at least for now, adding complications that might take us away from our mission.
Who cares about this elven war?
That's
Well,
not what I said. How weird.
I don't mean to suggest that I have no sympathy for her position. She didn't really. I mean, I believe she was the willing mistress of the king, and there's some shame in that, I suppose, but no more shame than the king should bear. I don't mean to suggest that I have no sympathy for her whatsoever, but there are reasons why certain people want her kept away from the king. There are rumors about her that are not entirely flattering to her, that she does want to see her children again, but not for their sake or for the sake of a mother's love, but because she is poor and wishes to be rich. There are considerations, and I would say my status here in the court is not as high as it once was following the secession wars. I would not want to be on the wrong side of the Lord Protector by bringing Kame into the court again.
Would
That's
it not
fair.
curry favor with the king, with the young king, to
I
reunite
don't
him?
even know if he'd recognize him.
This is
I'm-
true, Kajika. Very good points. We don't know when they were separated or if they have had any relationship before his
Well, 10 years
ascension
ago
to
was
the
when he
king.
was about 4 years old.
Yeah, she said it was 10 years ago when he was 4.
Okay. So it would be best not to be presumptuous that the king is even interested in pursuing a relationship. Perhaps once we have acquired the rights to go and try to open the door, that it might be best to then bring this up with the king, but I think it would be foolhardy at best to just bring Kame into the courts.
Yes, I would, to your primary reason for being here, our suggestion, mine and Lokexicus's, would be to first talk to the members of the King's Privy Council. The King will make the decision, don't get me wrong, but he almost certainly will put great weight on their opinion on the matter, and they will no doubt vote on it and present him with the collected opinion of the council itself. Some of them, including the Duke Pride Guard, will be on your side, I assume. I am not on the council, but I assume Duke Calabria will put in our good words where we can. But if you can sway a majority of them, I have little doubt that the king will side with you. Even if they vote against you, you may be able to persuade the king, but it will be more difficult. There are other people that Lokexicus and I think can help you to sway the positions of the members of the council. They are included in, and at this point the door opens and a servant comes in carrying a large box. It appears to be, the box itself appears to be velvet lined, but inside it are just dossiers lined up one after another. He says, yes, these are the papers that initially Lokexicus put together, and then she and I went through and added new information that we thought might be helpful for you. You can feel free to look them over. I'm happy to talk about any one of the people here. You should be able to meet most of them at court. If there's anyone you want to talk to who you can't find at court, a couple of them I know have been ill and have been away. The Duchess Berengier Bastiat, she has been away because several people in her household are ill at the moment, but so she's a little more difficult to get a hold of. But I can definitely help you get an audience with any of them. I believe the king is off at his winter palace now. I would expect you have about a week, perhaps 2, before he returns, at which point we should be able to schedule an audience for you with him. In the meantime, though, it does make sense for you to try to sway as many people as you can to your cause, as it will make a favorable outcome much more likely. If he refuses, well, I don't necessarily know what I would do in that situation. Lokexicus, and I I will speak hypothetically here because it's safer for all of us. She might have suggested that certain people would engage in a mission of stealth to find the door and to access it. But how one would stealth their way into one of the king's palaces is quite beyond me, as he has guards and defenses, magical and mundane, at his service. It would be very difficult to do it that way either. Perhaps I underestimate the skills of such a hypothetical group who would do such a thing. But
hypothetically, it would be a very unwise decision to risk angering a king with an army at their beck and call.
That demon did block out the sun, you recall.
And hypothetically, some skill or some stealth hasn't been so stealthy lately, so we might want to avoid relying stealth.
I mean, I would suggest that if it were me, I would store the door at what we refer to as the Sky Palace. And the reason I suggest this is the Sky Palace, you may not know, is a fortress, really, that was built on top of a slab of floatstone that has been here for, well, longer than recorded history. It is off in the mountains a ways outside the city. It has recently been levitated into the air, which is why it is called the Sky Palace. It's usually only levitated into the air when a massive attack is expected. Uh-oh, lost one. So that they levitated it now means either there is information about a threat. So that they levitated in the air means either they have information about a threat that I am not privy to, or possibly the door is there and they just want to make it as difficult as possible for anyone to get near it.
Either way, this does not seem like an ideal situation.
So any of these...
Should we not get access to the door by the king's blessing?
So he brought out a bunch of like information, I guess, on the council members or whatever, right?
Right, which I just put up into Roll20.
Okay, cool. So he said, so I say...
so just the mechanics of this, if you go down and click on the name, it should pull up a page that has even more information about these people.
Okay.
But so, yeah, I don't expect you to read this all now, but over the next 2 weeks, feel free to, if anybody looks interesting, you can find more, as much or as little information as you want on them.
So, yeah, as I just kind of look at them, I say, so any of these you expect devil or demon affiliations? Kind of have that running through these types of places.
Oh, I would not expect that. I mean, from what I understand, if the Duke is to be believed, Duke Calabria is to be believed, Lucerosi is a paladin, so he should be able to detect such things. I mean, the Duke could do it. My understanding is that you are also blessed by the gods with magical ability. Is that correct?
Who is he addressing?
Was answering Kajika's question, but now he's addressing Lucerosi.
Oh. I mean, I have the blessings of Asheros to perform minor miracles in his name.
So then, if I understand it correctly, you should be able to determine if anyone is a demon.
Certainly, I have that capacity to some degree. I'm sure that Asheros would not allow an agent of his to be in the presence of a demon without some sign or...
Yes, of course. In any event, you should be able, when you meet these people, to figure that out better than I could, certainly.
Now, you had mentioned one of the members of court who has fallen ill, or family has fallen ill.
Yes. Berengier Bastiat, the Duchess. Her family has started to fall ill. There's a disease that's proved very difficult to cure. Even clerics who can perform such miracles have had some difficulty ridding households of it entirely. It's apparently very infectious and tends to reinfect people who are cured magically. It's been going around for a while. I think there are probably many people in the town who have it. And I think as I said, it's difficult to eliminate within a home. Although even the people who've moved homes, as the Duchess surely has, have seen it recur in their families. Do you think that might be somehow related to demons?
Well, Kajika, you brought up a good point, and it may not be that demons have personally taken the form or become a part of the court, but we have seen this just recently, a town beset by poison and conflagrations, and it would not be a surprise if the source of this illness was demonic, or at least corrupted in nature.
Well, then maybe if you can cure whatever the illness is or defeat whatever demonic force there is, that certainly would go a long way to getting the king to give you access to the door, I'm sure. I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't know that demons are involved.
No. I mean, all that we have said is clearly just conjecture and suspicion. But given our track record and the way that things tend to happen, it would not be a surprise to me. Now, not to sound cold, but what pull does she actually have with the king? If we were to put all of our resources in this single endeavor, it would we would need to make sure that it would be worthwhile to securing access to the store.
She is one of the more senior members of the King's Privy Council. Still one vote on the council, but influential one.
Let's see.
Nobody, I'm sure, even though not everyone is her biggest fan or her ally, no one wants to see her family members sicken and die. I'm sure many people would see it as a good thing if you cured the illness. And if you found a way to do it that could be reproduced, it could eliminate the illness in others in the town.
Certainly something to consider as we move forward with this.
Mm-hmm.
High Countess Humbert also was ill. I don't think she was ill with the same plague, but I had heard she was ill recently, so we might also check with her. She is also a member of the Privy Council. She's the other one I was thinking of when I said she may or may not be at court.
I see. Zarius T-Hole, you've been fairly silent. What are your thoughts?
I'm sorry, I fell asleep.
Yes, I would say I was very much against this, but Lokexicus felt it very important that we include a dossier on the Ebon-clad Brotherhood. They are a criminal organization. They have no pull in court. I don't know why she thinks it's important for you to know how to contact them, but there is information there about them too, should you need it. They're gangsters and thugs. They bribe low-level officials. They start riots and work stoppages. They're hooligans and cads of the worst order.
I certainly would prefer to not work with such a degenerate organization.
Yeah, so you have to go where the movers and shakers are.
While you're here also, I have no doubt, since my servants know you're here, that word will spread that you finally arrived. You should probably expect that in the next several days, you'll wind up getting many invitations to dinners, possibly hunts. You don't have to accept any of them if you don't want to, but they probably will come from the same people that you might otherwise want to influence, so it could be useful to you. I'm afraid you'll find that many people will find it somewhat prestigious to have their names associated with yours, the Demon Slayers from Watchtower. And I heard that you saved a number of elves in the village of Alcator, so that is always welcome news given our precarious relations with the elves.
Yes, that's
Yes, we
hell,
saved
hell weird. It is that exactly that uncouth behavior that we cannot afford to have at the court.
Well, you should certainly avoid the elven ambassador talking like that.
But I must admit, this is not something that I look forward to. The mingling and the dinners and the hangers-on that seek glory through association and require the utmost praise, and it's all rather just disgusting.
Well, I think you'll find the harder part will be that there are many people who have very little opinion on the door. Some people find it merely interesting. Some people are afraid of it because it is black magic. As I said, the common people don't even know there is a door here, let alone that there's black magic associated with it. We don't want to cause a panic. But many of the people who know what it is, whether they're afraid of it or not, feel that the door came to Longspear, and that Longspear, which has its enemies, should claim it as its own. In which case, I know I've heard it asked why adventurers should be allowed to ransack the place. And Lokexicus tells me, and I don't know that everyone knows this, that her plan is to take it. And then it won't be here anymore. I would avoid telling people that if I were you, as anyone who views it as an asset to be exploited would probably be somewhat taken aback at the notion of simply giving you access and then having it vanish.
This is true, but and certainly, as you mentioned, it is a fine line to walk upon, but one must also recognize those that are the rightful owners and what is that word? The rightful owners of these things, and Daggerface here is one of those stewards.
Well, you have to remember, Mordenkainen's manor may hold secrets that could be helpful in defending the kingdom. That, I think, is the primary interest that some of these people have. Some of them may simply seek power for its own sake, I suppose. But they won't say that openly. They'll claim they want to defend the kingdom from its enemies. And that argument could be pressed against your position with the king somewhat persuasively. The king is free and sovereign within this kingdom to take any property. He could take anyone's lands or holdings if he really wanted to.
Yes, but politics. Anyways, I think it will be helpful to look through these dossiers for more information and for us to begin developing a plan for how we might engage in this campaign of persuasion.
Yes, please take a look through them. Let me know who you would like to meet with. I can also schedule, as I said, get you access to the court itself. Several, perhaps not all, but many of these people will be in attendance at court. Court can be amusing. I mean, if you've not been there before, at least you can always find the latest rumors at court. And at least there's dancing and music to entertain people. Not that you won't get your fill of that if you attend any dinners with these people. But let me leave you to your reading. I will be here. You can ask any of the servants to find me if you need anything. They've all been instructed to take care of any needs you may have within obvious reason. And rooms are being prepared for you as we speak. They're probably done, but I'm sure they'll be done shortly in any event. If you need anything, call upon me at any time.
Thank you, Don Antonio. May your beard ever grow back.
Yes, you have been most helpful.
He laughs at that. Yes, it is a very modern style. I remember in my youth, my father would have probably would have beaten me to death if I had suggested shaving my beard, and would have thought it absurd if I had said this would be the style.
It sounds like your father was a visionary.
I certainly hope not.
Yeah, Lushrosi just kind of winces at that statement.
You'll find you all have chamberlains or chambermaids who will help you to see to any needs you have in your rooms. My assistant will take you to them when you're ready. Until then, feel free to use the room. Food should be coming any time now. I'm surprised the kitchen is as slow as it is, but it is between luncheon and dinner, so I probably surprised them by asking for an early meal. I will talk to you all soon. And he stands up and bows slightly and then turns and walks out. And this is a good place to stop.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, feel free to read over this or any of the links you want to look at. And then by email, you can figure out who you want to meet, if anyone, or next time we can determine that.
I think our best bet is the Ebon-clad.
Of course.
I want to meet Duke Arithal, and he's already lost his ears, so maybe I'll take his head. So.
That's true. I actually hadn't thought about that he lost his ears and that's significant to you. Well, I would say that's fine. You can obviously do whatever you want. Might be more challenging to convince the king if you kill his brother.
Yeah. Not just his beloved brother.
Well, the beloved brother is a title. He is referred to officially as the king's beloved brother.
Okay.
Although, the king really does hold him in high esteem, so.
Yes. So hell, we're
That's exactly why I think the Ebon-clad is our best bet. We're not cut out for politics.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.